Hey, everybody. Nice to see you here. I got a little echo going. One moment. Now I'm back. All right. So I wanted to thank you guys for being here. Today is a really special day. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. The first thing I want to do is mention that Audix Microphones has been great to hook me up with great headphones, microphones, and they're based in Portland, Oregon. So if you're out there looking for microphones, make sure you go to audixusa.com and let them know I sent you. Now, my sponsor of the show, as you may have seen on the intro, is 5-Star Guitars. So if you go to 5starguitars.com, you're going to see a ton of guitars. You're going to see lessons and repairs, everything that you want done. But if you put in this promo code, All Access 15, if you go to 5starguitars.com/allaccesslive and enter the promo code, you'll get 15% off all these products that are on those pages. 5 pages, hundreds of products, and they're based locally. So there's no sales tax. You're going to save a bunch of money, buy some guitars, and get lessons from pros like my guest today. So I'm just going to jump right into it. There's a ton of stuff to talk about. There is no introduction that really needs to be done. I've got Santa Claus with me. Look, it's Jennifer Batten. Hi.
See,
I love it.
the benefit of wearing a Santa hat all of December is that you don't have to mess with your hair at all.
I know. I'm going to have to work on that. I got a Santa hat somewhere.
You can save your 20 minutes a day, dude.
Yeah, I really don't spend that much time. I just like mess it up and make it look like I got out of bed, Not like the amount of time that you had to spend on your hair back in the day, right?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that was a good 2.5 hours it took to get ready for the Michael Jackson show.
Did you have a stylist that was working like makeup and hair and everything back then?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, if it was up to me, it would be 5 minutes.
And you just show up in sweats and like boots. And I've got Claudia Odenthal from Germany is here. She says, I need more purple in my hair to match your cool. You got all the good red and looks like you're ready for the symposium with your new color.
Guten Tag, Claudia.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting pumped for the symposium. They keep getting better and better and better. And we've got Steve Vai, who just double confirmed today that he would be there on our wrap party Monday. So I'm overjoyed, man. I mean, starting at the top of this thing.
You put the cherry on top, but I want to make sure that people know about this thing. All right. So you can see in the background, I've got a little bit of your Guitar Cloud Symposium sort of promo, but people that are watching this may not know what you're doing, but this is something, we should step back a little bit. I should say that the All Access Live thing that I'm doing right now is because of you. You talked to me after I did the very first little chat saying, hey, you should turn this into a podcast with your buddies. And so I owe you a huge debt of gratitude. And what this is all about was doing this during the pandemic so that I've got something to occupy my time and keep people entertained and distracted from the shit. So that sounds like that's what you're doing too, right?
Yeah. Between that and seeing the opportunity that could keep me off of a plane.
Right.
I've spent the last 30 years going on planes and dealing with missing luggage and broken guitars and on and on and on. And just the idea of being able to reach people across the world on the interweb instead of jumping on a plane and having jet lag and breathing that poisonous air. This time, we've got somebody from Zimbabwe joining us, which is super exotic. There's a couple from Mexico City that's been with us since August that keeps coming back for more. We got somebody from Holland and somebody from Australia. And those people, there was another woman from New Zealand that joined us, and our classes start at 4 a.m. for them. So that shows you how dedicated guitar players are.
They are, man. Is this is an intensive thing. People probably don't even know what a guitar symposium is. So you want to talk a little bit about the whole concept behind it? Who you've got coming? Okay, cool.
It's kind of an extended weekend, and on the Friday, which is happening this coming Friday at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock Pacific time, there's an orientation. So everybody gathers together, and I introduce everybody because not everybody that signed up is familiar with each instructor that's going to happen. And after that, I get into a Q&A. I want to know where the guitar players are from, what their interests in, what kind of music they're into, what kind of guitars they have, anything they want to talk about. It really helps build a community vibe to get them to talk and let other guitar players know who they are. And then I extend the community vibe by having a members only Facebook page that anybody that signs up to take any of our symposiums is a part of, and it's very active. And I've started another experiment to expand the community, which is once a month, I just open up a free Zoom chat for all the students. And the last one I jumped into, I learned so much about gear I didn't know anything about. So it's kind of fun. You never know when people gather that have a similar interest, what you can learn. So that's just orientation, just a couple hours. And I'm also starting a thing of where I'm gathering these motivational films that I find that are super inspiring, that, 4 to 6, at 6 o'clock it's done, but I'm going to play this other film if you want to stick around. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's go, 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 starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I start with modules. This time there's going to be 5 instructors. There's usually 4, but now we've added Daniele Gottardo, who's an amazing virtuoso, one of Steve Vai's favorites, in fact. So it's going to be great to have them together. And I start with a foundational module on brain science and the most optimal way to learn. Because all through school, nobody says anything about that. They just go, okay, here's your assignment, go learn it and come back and take a test. But nobody ever talks about the methods of how to learn and how the brain works. So I get into, we're all doing these distilled 20-minute segments, in part because what I learned from brain science is that the brain can't hang after 15 or 20 minutes. It just kind of goes south and starts spinning. So every 20 minutes, we're going to throw a new subject at you to refresh your brain and have the synapses go to another part of your head.
Why not? Do you have little exercises where people get up and move around and kind of like get that part, the physical part, stimulated?
Well, yeah, there is 5 minutes between instructors to have a pee break, but we have 2 instructors in the morning and then 2 in the afternoon. And between that, there's a lunch break. And also Vicky Genfan, one of our teachers, that's the acoustic percussive tapper instructor, she's really into yoga and body movement. So she does a 15-minute body refreshing kind of thing. So you get blood back in your brain, get refreshed, and you're ready for, six more modules. So each teacher each day does 3 different modules of the subject they want to teach that they're most passionate about. So I'm not controlling, like, we have to do theory and we have to do this and that. It's whatever you want to teach, what you're really into is going to show to the students. So that's what you want, something that you're really into, you're going to really want to dig into and learn more, even though you know it already. You want to get into it and take it to another level. So every teacher is coming from a really different place. In fact, when we launched in August, Neely Brosh was with us. And I said, everybody write down 10 things that you want to teach so we can see if there's any overlap and pare it down to 6. And everybody wanted to tap.
Oh, really?
In the end,
that's me.
Yeah, but that's what you'd be good at, starting as a drummer.
No, I meant that's what you said. You said no, that's my gig. The tap.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
Actually, Neely and I both did it, and there was a slight concern that it would be too repetitive, but I had pretty much faith that our approaches were so different that it was really valuable. In fact, I think all 4 of us could do it and have a completely different thing. And even if stuff does overlap, it kind of reinforces what you already learned. So, with that much content coming at you, the more that can be reinforced, the better, I think. Or just really slow.
It froze up for just a second. Yeah, I think there's a little internet drop, but I was going to say, when people talk about mastering, anything, right? They talk about the 10,000 hours. Obviously, you put a lot more than 10,000 hours behind the guitar. But I was going to ask you, in this symposium, when people sign up for it, is there an expectation that they've kind of put in those 10,000 hours so they're at a level where they can really be sort of at at a maturity and a comprehensive level that you're at?
Not at all. Because people are coming from histories that are all over the map. So that's a common question. Can beginners join? And Some of the teachers say yeah, because they break it down to a very basic level, but I think you get the most out of it if you at least know the names of the strings, at least know some basic chords. When I talk about brain science, and I also talk about an app that I use to learn every piece of music called Transcribe, that sort of left brain stuff, any beginner can really benefit from it. And this time around, Angela Petrelli is going to do intro to slide guitar and intro to hybrid picking. That stuff is broken down very basic. So you could almost be a beginner and still get a lot out of it. But if you spend a bit of time with the guitar, you'll get even more out of it. And even though all of this is live, there's a ton of videos and CDs and YouTubes out there, but you don't have that interaction of being able to do Q&As with the teacher after they tell you something. So it's we really relish the live part, but we also have folders that people can download that have PDFs. And we started last time taking some of the PowerPoints and turning them into PDFs. So you see the images and some text that we talked about to remind you of stuff later. Plus, almost all of us, anybody that can, gives away all of our CDs. Anybody that owns their own music and is not obligated to record companies, you get a folder full of hours and hours of music.
Wow.
Because I've got 4 CDs. Gretchen has 2 or 3, and I think Vicky has 7.
Oh my God. And all those are free.
So
it's included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get a hell of a lot for the money. And then the Monday is the rap party, which over here involves a bottle of champagne. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And
RAP rap?
What's that?
RAP rap? It's a rap party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you'd want to hear me rapping. That's all over the map.
I have heard you do that.
Yeah, I did it on a record, and I still regret it 20 years later. That was the producer saying, rap is big. You ought to do it. And, good Lord, that ain't my thing. So we're wrapping up the fact that we put in all those hours of content. And the first hour of the rap party on the Monday is so many sponsor giveaways. Somebody's going to win a Spark amp from our presenting sponsor, Positive Grid. And the rep, Laura Whitmore, who is also the woman that is behind the She Rocks Awards, will join us and give that away. And it's right here. I've got this cool practice amp that you can program with a Bluetooth with your phone and connect to YouTube. And it's just phenomenal, next level smart technology. So somebody's going to get that. Somebody's going to get a Luna guitar. Audix is giving away my favorite mic I discovered last summer, the i5, which just brings different frequencies to the forefront than the standard 57. So I have 2 of them now, and I take them on every gig. I have 2 of everything in case I lose one.
Smart, yeah.
And they're also giving away a cab grabber that any guitar player that's been on a small stage has tripped over the tripod that holds the mic to the cabinet. So this thing just grabs onto the cabinet, and you don't even need that tripod. So it's a good life insurance policy, really.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. No, the list of the sponsors you had and the products that you're giving away as prizes, I know they can find those on the guitarcloudsymposium.com site, right? They can see sponsors and they can see kind of all the features that you get when you sign up.
Yeah. If they go to the store,
okay.
All of the sponsors are listed there.
Cool. I know we've got Stephen Young from Audix actually watching right now. He let me know that my level was too low. So hopefully I can speak louder in my mic, but good to see you, Stephen. And man, there are a ton of people that are chiming in. These must be huge Jennifer Batten fans in the chat. I see them blowing up over there. So it's nice to see you, Keith Parkhurst and Mike Klaus and Michael Damron, Johnny Matusiak, a lot of guys from in Toronto, which is nice. Alex Hart. So let me ask you this. You talked about Angela and Vicky. You want to just go through the lineup of the guests that you've got for the symposium? It'd be cool to kind of talk a little bit about their background and how it was.
Sure. Yeah. Gretchen Menn has a great player, several records out, and has a really strong classical background, and which she used in her last record, and it just makes it so much more interesting to me than the average, here's me shredding, and on track 5, here's me shredding some more.
Right.
It's really well composed. And she's been with a Led Zeppelin tribute band called Zepparella for 10 years.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so
Badass.
going from classical to Jimmy Page is a huge jump.
Yeah.
So she's gifted and has a BA in music. Angela Petrilli was in a band called Roses and Cigarettes that was starting to blow up until the singer passed away from cancer. So that was, that was horrible.
Wow.
So now 2 years later, Angela's starting to ramp up her own career. And Norm's Rare Guitars in LA has a thing that she'll go in there and grab one of their many vintage guitars and just do some playing on a regular basis. She has about 100,000 Instagram fans and posts there regularly. And sometimes she'll just sit there and groove. She'll play the groove part to a Led Zeppelin song, and it's just solo guitar. And so I'm glad to have her aboard. And Vicky Genfan, I've toured with her in the Czech Republic and took my little motorhome around America down to the Florida Keys with her. I met her at a NAMM show. We were on the same record called La Guitarra that was on Steve Vai's label. And I heard her at soundcheck, and it's one of those things where you go, huh?
Yeah.
It just sounded so good. She's got the acoustic tapping thing down with a lot of tapped harmonics. And she uses a lot of open tunings. So that's a whole other world. I love listening to players that don't do what I do. It's just...
Well,
so
you've probably had so many people that kind of try to copy your licks, I mean, and really from the GIT world, it's just so much shred. But I've heard Vicky do her thing too, man. And it's refreshing. And she's got a good spirit too. I really like her vibe.
Oh yeah, she's great. And she's a great singer as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a party bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Daniele Guittardo, I mentioned earlier, is one of Steve Vai's new faves. I think he's got at least one record out, but he's a monster. He's doing modules in, well, he's Italian, so he calls it, instead of sweet picking, he says sweet picking. We were on a live stream last night, and the whole conversation went to Italian food and garlic. It was...
Yeah, good thing we have social distancing, so you can't smell the garlic.
I have been consuming way more garlic since I've been locked down, and I live at home, so my dogs love stink. Yeah. So there's nobody to offend.
They roll on you. I love garlic too, man, but it's somebody else's garlic, not so good,
Oh yeah, especially on a plane. I've dealt with that before, and it's like, oh my God, can I just throw you out the window? Anyway, yeah, Daniele's a virtuoso, and he's also going to get into chordal tapping. And if you go to guitarcloudsymposium.com, when you go to register, there's a couple videos on the homepage. The first one is me talking about what the whole thing is about. And if you scroll further down the page, there's a little bit of all of us playing. And then you can check out each instructor. We all have audio samplers that you can run through as well. So it's a good team. And I had toured with Gretchen and Neely Brosh last year. And so that was the original people, was Gretchen, Neely, and Vicky. And we had a good time. So I kind of knew the personalities of the people that I was asking. I just came up with this idea one day and just called them all up and said, what do you think? Let's do this live thing online. And each of us do like TED Talks, 20-minute succinct modules of stuff, which is not easy. Because when you start thinking of something that you like, you could go for an hour easily. So, and I just did it again with a new module that I'm going to be doing this time around, because we get so many alumni coming back, the same people for the same content. It's like, oh God, let's expand and add something new every time. So there's a ridiculous amount of content that's new since the beginning. And my newest module is on beginning video editing. Oh. And, just very basic things to step up your level of engagement when you upload videos. So you don't see somebody spending 5 seconds grabbing the phone and turning it on and then losing the entire audience by the time you're ready to play. Right. There's a very easy way to trim. And so I'll get into that. And then, after we do all the giveaways, the students are going to have their way with Steve Vai. I'm so thrilled. The first symposium we did, I asked Scott Henderson to come in because I knew him from, we both taught at Musicians Institute, and I knew he's just crazy fun.
Yeah.
And then I did a tour with Andy Timmons, so he came for the second symposium, and Steve Vai's the third, and Dweezil's going to be on our February symposium.
Oh,
So
sweet.
it's like a kid in a candy store for me. I would take all my favorite players and just offer them to the students for a hang. It's
Oh,
it's just like over the weekend, the level of energy just rises and rises and rises. And finally, when you get the special guest, when Andy left last time, I thought, party's over.
right.
It's not going to get better than that.
Yeah.
And then I don't pressure anybody to play,
Sure.
but Andy felt more comfortable with a guitar. And so he played 4 or 5 tunes. It was smoking. He's
God.
so good.
He is so good. And again, he's one of those guys, man. His vibe is so good. I bet he communicates well with the Q&A and the thing. Hey, just I met him when you were on tour with Uli Roth here,
Mm.
and I just thought, what a sweetheart of a guy, man. Like when let me ask you, you talked about these modules and the 20-minute modules, people can bite off little digestible chunks. Are there Q&A sessions for each of you at the end of each module so they can ask questions?
Yeah, not only that, most people do it that way. I'm so concerned about not going overtime. I tend to do 3 modules and then a half-hour Q&A. And I also add a 5-minute virtual jam where I just play a track and trade fours with them. I don't hear them,
Okay.
so everybody feels safe. Nobody's
Yeah.
judging you. You're just having fun playing along. Because the internet speed is not fast enough that we can actually play in time without a delay.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, we have an hour Q&A with everybody. I think this time, we started doing breakout rooms the last time. So you get, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 people per teacher for 15 minutes, and then the teacher moves to a new room and a new room. So you get time with the teachers. And I think this time I'm going to do maybe Saturday as breakout rooms and the Sunday people asking questions as a group.
Okay.
So they get plenty of time with us.
Oh my God. It just seems like so much material, So, and it's great that you send people home with material because we've all been to this kind of workshops and events where you have so much stuff in your brain and then you leave. And if you don't put it right into practice, you forget about it. So the fact that you can download materials, you've got supplemental stuff that they can take with them, and they get these opportunity for prizes and all this stuff to boot. It's got to be thousands of dollars, right? How many thousands of dollars is this thing?
Right now, it's well, the the discount just ended a week prior because it starts on Friday, but it's $449 for the weekend
Are you kidding me? For 3 days? What's
for 4 days.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and I was just looking at Paul Gilbert is launching one. It's going to be live. I mean, he's actually flying to New York with George Lynch and a bunch of people, and I think that starts at $3,000.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would expect, especially with all of the artists that you've got playing and Steve Vai and the
Yeah.
giveaways. 449. I know that you mentioned that for alumni too, that they had there's an opportunity to get a reduced rate after. Are you still doing that? If they want to come back?
Yeah, I don't know how long that's going to last, but alumni get half price if they want to come back to another symposium.
Wow.
It's just a baby business right now. Started in August. I really don't know a lot about business. I'm a musician that counts to 4 and starts over. So slowly I'm getting people on board that do know what they're doing. And I just hired Dan Bozick
Yeah.
to help us. And
Hold tight just one sec, Jen, if you can hear me. You dropped for a second. Hang on, don't go anywhere. Hey, hold your
all right,
thought.
okay,
Yeah,
I'm
so
back.
you said you hired Dan Bozick to do some marketing for you?
Yeah, and the
Good.
numbers are going through the roof. It's
Good.
fantastic. Because normally with my Facebook Live on my music page, uh, I'm one of those people that went kicking and screaming to Facebook, like, do I really have to do
Right.
this?
I
So
know.
our live streams would tend to go, I don't know, 800 to 1,200 people. Now the last one was a week ago is up to over 12,000 now.
Oh my God. That
Yeah,
isn't, you know, I mean, he's the man. As you know, it's great to have people, you put those professionals in their role, and If you guys are watching right now, the people that are in the chat, the people that are watching this, you can see that there's this link here to guitarcladsymposium.com where you can go and sign up for the symposium. But you can also go here and you can see Jennifer Batten's other opportunities. You can see some albums that she's got for sale. You can see other products that she sells. She's an incredible artist and lots of good media behind the scenes, right? So I want to make sure that people know about all things Jennifer Batten. If you have not yet, guys, if you're watching this on any other platform and you want to subscribe to this so you can watch this later or see other episodes, go to youtube.com/all access live with Kevin Rankin right there. But so now do that quick, subscribe, and then I want to talk to Jennifer a little bit about this getup that she's got right here. I noticed that this guitar has something really funky in the neck. What's going on with the fretboard there?
The rainbow.
Yeah, that's cool. Is this a custom fretboard?
It's stickers from
Really?
a company called neckillusions.com. And I have 6 designs you can get. Steve Vai has 6 designs that he's actually drawn himself. Me, I'm totally into steampunk. So I grabbed a bunch of gears and just kind of threw ideas together and threw it to their graphic guys that made sense of it. And I had some really ridiculously beautiful designs that I found once I was on stage with dim lighting. I'm like, oh shit, where am I?
Oh,
So now I only use the designs with very definitive fret markers on them.
right. Those are cool. I dig it. So you've got 6 you said that you created?
Yeah, and
Okay.
they're all steampunk. You can see at the corner of the blue screen, I got a
Yeah.
little bit of gears happening. Well, the band I launched last summer, Jennifer Batten on Full Steam,
Right.
that's a Portland cover band. I made them. I was so glad that they didn't balk at it, but we're all dressing in steampunk style, and I dig it. For some reason, it just kind of infiltrated my bloodstream and must have gears. And I started making fantasy airships and going to Goodwill and going, oh, that could become this.
Yeah, I can tell that you've got a guitar strap that looks steampunk too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, this was. Well, the end of it, you can't really see it that great, but the end of it, the guy that started the Locket Strap company is into steampunk too, and he made me a ridiculous thing that had so much stuff on it just fell apart over time. But he put some gears here, and then I sewed some more gears higher up. And in fact, I have another strap that it kind of scrapes the crap out of my neck, but
I was gonna
I
say.
I took these copper pipes and just had them going every which way. And I just went to town, obsessed as I usually do.
Your steampunk stuff. Are you still selling some of your steampunk art?
You know what? I sold most of it to Christian Saint Laurent.
You did.
Yeah,
That lucky SOB, man. Your stuff is amazing. Do you have pictures of it still on your website?
I don't.
All right. So if you guys are watching, you got to go to Christian Celeron's house in West Lynn, Oregon, and you're gonna have to peek in through the windows. He's gonna love that I said that, isn't he? Yeah. It's phenomenal stuff. When you and I first met, you just right after that got into the stained glass thing, and it was an obsession. You've got a really great addictive personality where you're addicted to really creative and productive things and not stuff that I get into. So the stained glass thing was amazing, and you did that piece for Jeff Beck, which is cool. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's kind of funny, I don't know how these ideas get in my head, but I just wake up, maybe fairies visit me in my sleep and go, you will do steampunk now.
Yeah.
And it was that way with glass. It just all of a sudden glass was in my consciousness. And when I moved up here from LA, I had no idea what the housing prices were doing. I just wanted to get the hell out of LA.
Yeah.
So I sold my house at a really great time, made some bank, and moved up here, bought a little house in the forest, and I was able to take almost a year off. And so the first thing I wanted to do was take stained glass classes. And once I got in that world, I remember the teacher was saying, and we have fused glass items over here and kilns. And I was like, oh, I have no interest in that. I just want to do stained glass. 6 months later, I had 3 kilns in my
Oh my
garage,
God.
cooking something every day. And it is just, when you get into something, you have constant visions of what the next thing could be. Next thing, next thing. It's just like grooves for music or melodies. Here's a new melody, a new riff, a new idea. And I made a lot of them into reality. And then I started touring a whole lot. So I just didn't have time. I would come off the road and just be fried and burnt. And I did glass pretty steadily for 3 years. And then that went away. And a couple years later, steampunk entered my consciousness.
And it got really elaborate. That's the thing about the steampunk stuff. It was so elaborate, beautiful artwork, but it had to have taken so long to do. And I don't know how you balanced it because even when you started doing steampunk, you were traveling a lot. You were doing a lot of stuff for Digitech, right? And then you were also doing your solo shows over in Europe,
Yeah.
and um, I think it's part of that sort of obsessive compulsive thing, right? I mean, when you get obsessed and you're driven, right, you just go all in. Kind of like what you're doing with the symposium. You're giving a whole crap load of really valuable material for next to nothing.
Yeah.
Michael Lajuna just said the Guitar Cloud Symposium is totally worth the price to attend. Jennifer, please keep the discount for the alumni who have already attended. I really want to be able to attend future events. So, at least for Michael, give him props for coming back. Um, I was just thinking about a lot of the people that have worked with you. The first real cool gig that I got to play with you was that the World Guitar Congress in Baltimore,
Right.
and for me, it was such a fascinating thing, because we were like Eric Johnson and John Schofield, and those amazing, iconic players around you. They were so humble. It was really funny to have breakfast that next morning, and I remember John Schofield just pegging you for stuff about Jeff Beck. Right, that's all he wanted to do is just
No, it wasn't, dude. I mean, memories trip over time, but I
okay.
will never forget. Okay. We ended up in a bar after the show one night. I was sitting with Pat Martino, his Japanese wife, and John Schofield, and they only wanted to talk about Michael Jackson.
Oh, Michael. Okay. No Jeff Beck. No, they've already heard the Jeff stories. God, that's it's cool though that they just it was neat to see you sort of treated as you're a colleague versus everybody that gets to watch you knows they have this reverence for you because they've seen you on the Super Bowl with Michael Jackson and all these videos, but you're so humble. Somebody in the chat just said you were their first crush. So that's the thing, right? They hold you up on this pedestal, but you've always been so humble, and your humility is really something that's impressive to me. I love that you haven't lost sight of who you are. And I would imagine that comes through in the symposium, when you're presenting this material and kind of talking to people, you can talk to them at their level.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Ron Tuttle said a similar thing to me. And I said, basically, if you keep your ears open and you are listening to all the talent that is in the world and realize you ain't shit, that's the automatic humble app right
Right.
there. I mean, whatever you can do, there's hundreds of people that can kick your ass in any technique. Um, over melodic you.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to turn on YouTube. And as long as you watch, right? I mean, there's another person that's out there that's unbelievable, right? So
Yeah.
is there anybody out there right now that's new, up and coming that catches your eye?
Oh boy. There, you know what? I really got into TikTok a couple months ago. And I don't remember names, but there are some amazing players. I mean, just beautiful playing. Um, there's one bass player that's so funky, and she always plays R&B tunes, and just so in the pocket.
Mm.
It's fantastic. There's another one that sings and has a gorgeous voice and is playing all these jazz chords on guitar. And I go, man, it's humbling, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, you already came with humility, but you don't remember either of their names.
No,
Okay. No,
that's why I'm not in
no,
PR.
I think you did that She Rocks event at the NAM show, and you know who my crush is, right? I mean, that funky badass bass player Nick West. My God, I love her
Okay.
so much, man. She's not only an incredible player, she sings her ass off, and she's got a big purple mohawk. So that's my kind of girl.
Yeah, she's really stunning to look at, boy.
I didn't even notice.
When she walks through a crowd, you'd go, huh?
Yeah,
She looks like an alien, actually.
yeah. I didn't even notice. Yeah. Man, I would be remiss if I didn't say you're holding up your guitar and it doesn't look like you're trying to pimp out the Neck Illusions design and
Yeah.
Spark Amp. Do you have anything that you're interested in maybe digging out and doing a little playing?
Yeah. Actually, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I'm so over the moon that I have added a new camera.
Oh, sweet. Right on.
So now I have 3 cameras. Dig it.
Oh, check it out. Look at
And
this.
I can just hit a button and go to a whole new tech world. Oh yeah, you got to change that, don't you? Yeah. So let's see. This camera is showing my knee mainly. I wanted to. Oh crap! I need to adjust it a little bit. But I wanted people. I do a module on whammy bar and whammy pedal techniques. So I wanted to have a camera right on my right hand so they could see exactly what I'm doing. Like if I'm, oops. Just those little movements, you can really, they can just go by you if you don't see them up close. And also, the whammy pedal is something that I use a lot. So letting them see actually when my foot is moving. And I did put on new shoes just today because my old ones are so funky. So
God, that is so awesome.
I'll play to a little groove.
Okay.
One of the things I like to do is to anticipate whole steps with the whammy pedal. So if I have, I'm bending that note with my foot, not my fingers. So I'll play a little groove.
Right. I'm gonna dip you off. I'm gonna dip off the screen so everybody can see you up close. All right. So, folks, if you're watching on the chat, man, just sit back and relax and watch Jennifer Batten do her thing.
It's all about the foot, about the foot, about the foot. So I was trying to be conscious of using the tremolo bar. When you get in the heat of the moment, you don't know what the hell.
I love it. Is this kind of what people would get to see in the symposium for your modules, where they can break down different cameras and see up close?
Well, they will see what we just saw. So I
Okay,
have this
yeah.
one scene that's got all 3 cameras in it, and then I have let's see if I have this set up correctly. Yeah, boom. Here's
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. This
here's
is your sidekick.
this is the first slide of my my module in brain science and learning.
Nice. I mean, that's one thing about your videos and people that are going to be going to the symposium to watch your video editing. You got really into video production back when we first met, and you were trying to find a way to accompany the songs from the new record and do your solo thing. And it was such a cool, refreshing, unique thing, right? To go to a show and not just sit there if you're not a guitarist to watch your hands, but give you something entertaining to watch. So what was the idea behind that?
Well, I was trying to. Well, I remember the day that I came up with the idea of doing the film thing, and I had already toured with Michael Jackson and Jeff Beck, and I thought, okay, that's my bucket list, and I'm still alive.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what the hell else am I going to do? And I started thinking the neurosis of being a band leader kind of gave me hives. And I thought, it's time to do my own music. But taking a band out on the road is just so overwhelming. It's so expensive. And first time I took a band to Europe, it was pretty much sold out every night, and I lost $5,000 overall. Ooh. Yeah. So, I go, there's got to be a way that I can get my music out there on the cheap to start anyway. And then I started visualizing, now what if I went on my own? I had done, thousands of clinics, but that's not really a show. It's to get in a club where people are expecting a show. It's not good enough. So I came up with the idea to do films and reached out to a bunch of filmmakers and film schools. And in a year and a half, I ended up with only 4 films from people. Oh, yeah. But one of those people showed me how to do it. And then I was off. My first film for a 5-minute song took about 50 hours. Yeah. But I loved it so much. Of all the art forms I've been in, that is the most obsessive. I'm so happy if I'm sitting on the couch making a music video for something I'm going to play live. And then I started thinking what it would be to be out on the road and, out by myself in a hotel and listening to the smash of the windows as somebody stole my gear at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. So then I came up with the idea of getting a motorhome so I could sleep with the gear. So that's what I did. And I just sold that motorhome. I had it for 12 years and put 60,000 miles on it at least.
How many tours did you do with that thing?
Not that many really. Only 6 or 8.
Oh, only. Yeah. You're trekking across the entire US with that thing.
Yeah. Well, some of them were West Coast tours. I didn't go bananas on those, but what a wonderful way to see the country. I'd be looking at the cactus in Arizona and then down to the Florida Keys and the swamps, and visited a buddy of mine, graphic artist, had me come down to New Orleans. He hooked up 3 or 4 gigs in the swamplands, and I took one of those tours in the Everglades. And, oh man!
You went out and saw the gators?
I did.
I did one of those too a couple years ago. That's awesome. Pretty fascinating. Was it with somebody that actually was from the bayou down there?
Yeah.
Okay. So hardly speaks recognizable English, right?
There's an accent. Let me say, yes, there's an accent. And just magical things happen. I was in Nashville, and I contacted Adrian Ballou's manager. And I guess I had Adrian's email at that time. But anyway, I invited him to a show that I was doing in Nashville. And thankfully, I didn't know that he showed up until one of the last songs, because he was off in the back. And it was so funny because it was the last set. And so he came to one of the front tables, and that's when I was going to play Elephant Stomp.
Oh, my God.
So I'm making elephant noises in front of the guy that is known for making animal noises on his guitar. And we ended up having a drink afterwards, and I ended up going to his house and sleeping in the Robert Fripp room, which was in his basement. And he had about, I would say, 20 guitars hanging up down there, and none of them were normal. Not a single one.
Just
they're
bizarre,
freak-ass guitars.
Yeah. Well, it's the right room for it, right? The Robert Fripp room. You know what? You mentioned Elephant Stomp, man. It's I think the favorite song that I played with you, and I'm totally just catching you off guard. Could you show a couple of the elephant sounds that you make with that on your guitar now? Are you able to? Check this out. Love it.
Yeah, for you guitar player nerds out there, I take 2 fingers anywhere. It doesn't, you don't have to worry about the key with this one. And I tap down, and as I'm sliding up, I also bend the G string up. Losing sustain there, but ask me at the Symposium. I'll get deeper into it.
Yeah, I have a question about that. So did you actually listen to elephant noises and try and match that harmonic sound?
I think I did back then. Yeah? In the beginning of the song, I have some elephant samples.
Yeah.
So, I set out to be an elephant, just like I set out to make cat noises at one point. When I first got the whammy pedal, I was messing with the octave up mode, so I'll take it back to the so you can see
Here, I'll get out
the
here.
entertainingness of a foot moving.
God, that song has probably one of my favorite solos of all time that you've done on it.
Oh, it's whacked.
Incredible, man. When you do your solo show, you probably have noticed that I just run up front and I'm sitting down below you with my camera
Yes.
getting video. So I've got catfight in about 8 different scenes, including Christian Celeron's house. So it's so it's really cool when you have you've got all the songs from your entire career. So you've got songs from your solo records. You do the Michael Jackson medley. You got a lot of newer stuff like the Britney and the Nirvana and the I was thinking a lot about, you're really universally known. I mean, Michael Jackson kind of put you on the planet, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And you maybe talked out on this, but you and I talked about this offline. But something that really impacted everybody on the planet when it happened. Unfortunately, Eddie Van Halen passed away, and he impacted a lot of people. He influenced a lot of people. God, he influenced every guitarist, it seems like, on the planet. Could you talk a little bit about Eddie, and then maybe the connection with Michael Jackson and the Eddie solo?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's not a normal story how I got into Van Halen, because I was trying to be a jazz bow. I wanted to be the next Pat Martino when I was at Musicians Institute, back when it was just a guitar school, GIT. And I remember towards the end of the year, there was only 60 students. That was it in the beginning. And there was a guy in the other class, because it was divided to 2 classes, that said, "Oh, you got to check this out." And he put Eruption on my head with headphones. It was a little bit too loud for my comfort. And I listened a little bit, and I just kind of, yeah, thanks.
Really? First
I
time?
didn't get it. It did
Wow.
not seep into my brain cells for a while,
Okay.
because I was so steeped in the jazz world. But, he kept coming back and back and back in my consciousness. And eventually I go, oh, I get it. I mean, one of the most innovative, exciting, monstrous creative forces in guitar. And when I got into it, I got deep into it, just like all the other obsessions.
What about what you said? You get it. Like, what was the song that said, "Okay,
Well,
there it is"?
Mean Street is the
Yeah.
song that made
Okay.
me stop playing jazz and pursuing more rock. I was playing in a jazz club in San Diego and not having a good time. It was just kind of a limp experience. And so during a break, I went out into the parking lot and I put on Van Halen, and Mean Street came on with those wicked ass feedback and the innovative percussive tapping thing he does in the intro. I mean,
Yeah.
before the song even starts, it blows your mind.
Yeah.
And my consciousness said, you need to change directions, like immediately. So I did. And I will say that I was into tapping before that,
Yeah.
because one of my fellow students at GIT was Steve Lynch, who was in the band Autograph.
Of course, still
And
is, right?
what's that?
Still is. I saw him a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
because there's 2 Lynches in the guitar world. People would always ask him, "Oh, are you related to George Lynch?" And he'd go, "Yeah, he's my wife."
Kept his maiden. It didn't keep his maiden name.
So no relation there. But every every month we would get a killer seminar by some monster player: Lee Ritenour, Larry Carlton, Pat Metheny, Tommy Tedesco, you name it.
Yeah.
And one month it was Emmett Chapman, who invented the Chapman stick.
Right.
And 60 people, 60 students total, 59 of us were going, yeah, that's cool, but we're just trying to get these 6 strings down, and
Yeah.
none of us are going to go get a stick with a completely different technique. There's no picking involved. It's all tapped.
Right.
5 bass strings, 5 melody strings. It's just basically a big fat neck. But it planted a seed in Steve's brain, and he started experimenting with tapping on the guitar neck, completely not knowing about Van Halen at the time.
Really? Okay. And he was a student during that time?
No, he was in my class.
Okay. Okay.
Not a student. And I was hearing what he was doing. I was going, oh my God, I got to have that. I mean, it's just like the intervallic thing or, you know, the Mean Street thing. I got to have that.
Game changer.
And, and so the school was so intense, I couldn't begin to do anything extracurricular. There was just no time. It was all I could do to keep up with the curriculum. But as soon as school was over, at graduation, Steve played something he had worked out with tapping, and I'm going, dude, you got to send me that. And he sent me a demo he had been working on with 3 songs with worked out tap solos. And I tried to learn it, and it sounded like crap, and I had a blister on my first finger. And so at that point, I had moved back to San Diego, and I drove up to LA to his house to take a lesson. And he made it very clear what he was doing. And from there, it was, I could just take off and start experimenting on my own. So it really opened up my brain to a fun new technique.
That's so cool. I knew there was a Steve Lynch connection, but I didn't realize that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then the Van Halen thing, you said Mean Street was the first thing you got into. My favorite song, my favorite, favorite Eddie solo for sure, that intro. But even the solo in the middle of the song blows my mind. And I have mentioned to you before too, Alex Van Halen is, I think, one of the most underrated drummers out there on the planet that gets kind of overshadowed by his brother. And the drumming he does on Mean Street, incredible. But your Eddie Van Halen connection to your gig is
Yeah.
something completely different, right?
Yeah. I mean, boy, it really makes you believe in, I would say, the power of synchronicity or the power of intention more than anything. Like, I was laser focused. What I wanted to do was play for a lot of people. And it wasn't specifically any band or anything. It's just I had that vision in my head. In fact, I had a Van Halen keychain that I custom made. I had a picture that just, it was incredible. It was a shot of the band from behind before they took a bow, and they were a couple of them were jumped up in the air, and you could see like 100,000 people in a stadium, probably South America or something. And I just loved the energy of that. And I made a keychain, and I would see it every day. And I think that's part of like a vision board.
Yeah.
This is what I want for my life. And I remember also the very moment I first heard the Beat It solo. I was in a cover band rehearsal, and we were setting up, and the radio was on, and Beat It came on. When that solo came on, we all dropped what we were doing and looked at each other like, oh my God, what is that?
Right.
And I proceeded to try to learn the Beat It solo. That's the cassette days. So I had a Marantz cassette deck that would slow things down, but it was analog. So if you slowed it down a little, you go down a whole step or a fourth. You could take it as far as an octave down and keep the same, name of the pitch anyway.
Sure.
And I gave up 3 times. Everything he was doing was so new. Like from the very first note, he pretty much had the tremolo bar down to the body, like it comes from hell. And then there's these harmonics that are not just a harmonic that's an octave away from your left hand. He'll split up the octave into the 4th or 5th or whatever, and just there were so many new things in that thing. It just confounded me for a minute, but persistence paid off, and I finally got it, and it bought me a house.
Yeah, well, tell me that story. So, I mean, it was part of your audition, right?
Well, the audition was so unbelievably loose for a band of that level. It was crazy. I was asked to come in and audition, and I asked what songs I should know. And I think the guy I was talking to probably said something like Billie Jean and Thriller and, the top hits of the day. This was 1987. So I took a couple days off from what I was doing and learned those songs and went in, and there was no band. It was just that guy that had called me and a video camera.
Ooh.
And Michael was going to look at the video later. Actually, I'll say because of songs like Eruption, where there was a spot for the guitar player to play alone, every band in Hollywood had that, solo guitar thing. And at that time I was in, I think 5 or 6 different bands, and they all had a spot for me to do a solo piece. So it was actually a lot more comfortable than it could have been with a band, actually. So the only guidance I was given was to play some funky rhythm because, I'm known for playing the Beat It solo, but for almost 2.5 hours, that's only 16 bars in
Right.
that amount of time. So the rest of it is about support and being funky and playing parts.
Yeah.
So I remember one of the things that I did was a Jeff Beck groove, because at that time I had memorized every piece of music on his records, blow by blow and Wired. And there was one called, I think it's called You Know What I Mean,
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Nice.
And I was also teaching some funky stuff at GIT at that time. And so I played that. And then I started just improvising rock style and doing a bunch of tapping because I was super into it. And I finished with the Beat It solo because I thought, well, he might find this useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any feedback from the guy that had called you to say, "Oh, okay, that was badass"? When you pulled out the Beat It solo, did he say, "All right, this girl knows what's up"?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And I was so uptight about the possibility of getting the gig. I didn't tell anybody that I auditioned.
Really?
I said nothing. And I did the exact same thing with Jeff Beck. I told nobody until it felt a lot more solid.
Okay.
Because, even though somebody's impressed day one, at day 17, they might be over you.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's true, man. The walk of shame coming back home.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
didn't
that
want
didn't
to deal with
happen.
that.
That didn't happen. How long were you with Michael?
10 years.
Jesus. And
Yeah, we
Jeff?
did 3 tours: the Bad Tour, Dangerous Tour, and then the History Tour was the last one I did.
God, I wonder if people that are watching this on the chat, if anybody's out there that got to see Jennifer on any of those tours, chime in real quick. It'd be cool to hear somebody's experience from it. I I know that God, you've been asked Michael Jackson touring questions all the time. I want to know a really cool Jeff Beck story, like one that just stands out to you on tour. Was there one that just thought, all right, this goes in the book, or can
As soon
you
as you
can't
say
talk
that,
about it?
what comes to mind is the pranks.
Oh yeah, just is he a practical joker?
Yeah, kind of. Oh, actually, okay. The first one that just surfaced to the top of my head is, this show, we were all 6 years old, really.
Yeah.
And we would play with whoopee cushions and on and on. And I'll never forget, I had bought this fake dog shit.
You
And I would
haven't
just,
changed.
no, nothing's changed. And I would just put it in different places to get a reaction. And I forgot I had it on the bus, and my father came to the gig and joined us on the bus after.
Oh, oh my God. Did you warn him?
No, I
No.
forgot. I
Oh
was like,
shit.
oh, that'll be my dog shit. I'll just put that over here.
Sorry, Pop. Yeah, Dad's real proud. Like, look at these mature people out here. My daughter hasn't grown up.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you, one of my proudest moments is Jeff and I really got into doing arm farts. I mean, his can sound like a Harley. It's just incredible. He'll get to the crook of his arm. You think he's the god of tone on guitar.
Oh my God. I want to see that article in Guitar Player magazine where he said, "All right, guys, you already know how to play. Check this out." And then just he goes into his arm fart routine. Yeah, but you got him too, man. I know. I've heard yours.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And we started having a contest with stopwatches to see who could do the longest one without laughing.
Oh,
And the first week, nobody got past 10 seconds. But this was religiously after every single show. I'm pretty proud that I was the tour winner at 45 seconds.
45.
Yep, I could have been a pearl diver.
Holy shit. Okay, hold on a second. I know.
Soak it in, Kevin.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say. I mean, I am taking this in a little bit because neither one of us have had COVID, right? So our lung capacity is pretty good. But
Well, you build up to it. I don't have that anymore.
I don't have it
And I was
either.
actually shocked that I could.
But you wanna give it a shot? You wanna have a little arm fart off?
Well, we can't do it at the same time. It'll phase cancel through the
Okay.
interweb.
You want me to start?
You go.
I haven't done that in God 30 years.
Okay, get out your stopwatch, guys. Wait, hold on. See, now that's how it goes. Wait, Kevin, don't start. I'm going to get out my stopwatch because this is really important to me.
Do I have to prep? Do I have to? All right.
Say when.
All right. I'll go for it. Oh, that's garbage. All right, but no Dizzy Gillespie here.
Second try.
All right.
Oh my
I
God,
can't
this is
believe
great.
this.
I wish every interview was like this.
I know. I was just gonna say, Steve from Audix is like, "Oh, this is entertainment." All right. So, how many did I get? How many seconds?
Sorry, I'd say it's only 7, dude.
Okay. All right.
Now, I'm going to put my
So-
guitar down. Oops, shit. I got so many things on top of things here. I just dropped my fabulous Audix headset mic.
this kind of feels like the Colbert Obama paper bag or paper ball basketball, right?
Yeah,
So,
only a little louder.
all right.
You
You let me know
know,
when.
I'm
All
afraid
right.
I'm going to blow up this mic, so I'm going to take it off.
Okay,
Here.
everybody out there, if you've
Okay.
got in case because I don't want you to think I'm cheating. All right, so people out there, they can get their stopwatch out. All right, and so you let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
I want to see your warm up too. What's the preparation for this thing?
Well, with Beck, it was champagne. That was
Oh,
the warm up.
no, well, that was breakfast already for you, right? The mimosas all day. You, God, you didn't expect this. I didn't expect this either. This is fun.
I have to concentrate. And, it's been 20 years. I'm already giving excuses why I can't do
I
this for
know.
45 seconds. I'm going to have to hydrate too. This is the Olympics of arm farts.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. 21 seconds. Oh my God. This is so good. Oh my God. Yeah. So, folks, for $4.49, and you go to guitarcloudsymposium.com, this is what you're getting: 20-minute segments of of how to warm up your arm parts. Speaking of the arm parts, like,
It's all about the tone, baby.
do you have an endorsement for that birthday gift that you got from Michael Jordan?
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, for my birthday, my best friend gave me a farting robot. That is so cool. He comes over every night to watch Colbert with me, and as soon as he walks through the door, I turn it on, and it's this robot that has a remote control, and so you can send it across the floor, and it can spin around and come back at you, and then you can control the farts. It'll burp too. That was a bonus.
Oh, God. You're such a boy. You're
The
such a
best
teenage
thing,
boy.
the best thing about it though is after you're done playing with it, unless you turn it off, there's a timer on it. So like 5 or 10 minutes later, it'll just explode. So we completely forget about it, and then the sound happens. It's like the ultimate firework at the end of the night, where it's just like every possible sound
The
at once.
finale. Oh my God. When you get back on tour, I want you to bring that out, and that's going to be like the sort of the special feature. Or you know what? Bring it out during the Vi part on the Symposium. Make sure that Steve gets a good chunk of that.
You know what? Steve did get a good chunk of that. He came backstage after the Beck show in Vegas.
Really?
Oh, God, it was the most nerve-wracking show because he was in about the 4th row, and I could think of nothing else the entire night except Steve Vai's in the 4th row. It was so disturbing. I would rather not know. Anyway, he came backstage, and we were already doing our nightly arm fighting after the show, so he got a good sample. I don't need to remind him again.
Oh, God. He seems so humble too.
He's great.
Back, as a drummer, right? I don't have the inside scoop that a lot of guitarists have, but he was like the alien guy, right? He and Joe
Yeah.
Satriani, but Vi came off as this guy that seemed aloof and maybe a little. People might have thought he was pretentious, right? Because he was so quiet. But everything that I've seen from him, especially on social media, he's a giver, right? He gives a lot of
Yes.
information, and he seemed, the one time I talked to him about you, he held you in such high regard as well. I mean, he asked where you were, because I told him, that we'd been playing, and you were, I think, on tour in Japan doing your thing, and it was around the tsunami time. So,
Oh,
but
yeah. I went 1 month after the tsunami. I was in Japan soaking up the radiation.
oh
But go
man,
ahead.
no, it's cool. I think it's nice to see the humility in guys like that and people like you who would have, people on the side are like, my friend Jacqueline says Jennifer sounded like a bee. Yeah. God. Speaking of bees, is that what everybody expects you to play when they see you do your solo shows, the Flight of the Bumblebee thing?
They do ask it time to time, but I retired that thing. I came to the point where I go, why am I traumatizing myself with this tune?
Does it? Does it kind of just like it just seems like just too much?
It's really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you know, yeah, I would imagine that there are, the sort of signature parts. I mean, obviously the song's been around, but your interpretation of it and the video was a big accompaniment too, right? You had this video where you had 100,000 bees like swarming
yeah.
all over you. People out there probably know this story, but if you want to tell it, somebody told me I need to practice my arm for it, so I can do my my practice. You want to tell the story about the bees in the video?
Sure. Well, I got my first record deal. It was on Voss Records that nobody's ever heard of, and they wanted to do a video for Flight of the Bumblebee. And along about that time, synchronicity, I saw a guy on the Johnny Carson show playing Dixieland clarinet covered in bumblebees. Or not bumblebee, they were actually honeybees.
Okay, yeah,
And so I thought, well, problem solved. And I tracked him down, which was not easy before the internet.
right.
But I knew that he was a professor at UC Davis and he was an entomologist that studied insects. And so I got through the college and got to him and said, my name's Jennifer Batten and I want to get covered with bees too. And so, of course, he just laughed and warned me about the insurance policy
Yeah,
and how there has to be a nurse there with adrenaline ready to shoot anybody that's allergic when you got that many bees. And the record company gave it a go,
oh,
which was so cool. And he was coming down from Sacramento to LA where I lived to do, he was the guy that did all the bee movies, like My Girl, Fried Green Tomatoes. Anytime you see a bee scene, it's most likely Norm Gary that's behind it. And he had a van and packed them full of bees and brought them down. And he wanted to cancel because the other shoot that he was doing for a bee movie, I guess bees don't perform in inclement weather, and it was too foggy or something. And he wanted to cancel, and I go, dude, you cannot cancel. I have all these people set up and makeup artists and nurses and everything. And he said, well, I don't have anywhere to store the bees for the night. And I go, I got a big backyard. Come over. So he pulls up right when the kids are letting out of school. And I'm
oh,
going, here's my first lawsuit.
right.
Oh, Jesus. Nothing happened. So he's pulling the boxes into the backyard and showed me how how you put them to bed and feed them, which is very strange. Where he had a squirt bottle that had water and honey, and had me heat up the honey so it would combine together, and he would squirt the bees and they would suck the honey off each other's backs. Sounds pretty pervy to me, but anyway. And then he would smoke them to calm them down. I know that's going to come back and bite me, isn't it? So I was watching. I was keeping my distance, watching this go on, and wasn't even thinking. I was just looking, and my left leg. I felt an itch, or yeah, I felt an itch. So I scratched it with my other leg, and it turns out there was a bee that got caught. And so, bam, my leg just blew up. And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to explain this to my parents the next day that I'm in the hospital from bee stings that was my choice?
Right. Yeah. Your fault. Did you know that you were allergic to bee stings going in?
I wasn't at that time.
Okay.
I mean, it was a normal reaction to the venom. But so the next day, I mean, he's got it down basically where don't try this at home, but the way that you do it in the movies is to remove the queen bee so that the bees are not defensive. And then he had synthetic pheromone drops that he put on different parts of my jumpsuit. Now, I wanted to wear a one piece so the bees couldn't get trapped. And I had duct tape on my sleeves and on the bottom of my pants. And we did the shoot for a couple hours. And then he comes up to me and goes, okay, now's the hard part. I mean, he took the better part of 20 minutes to keep putting these rackfuls of bees on me that were attracted to the pheromones.
Yeah.
And he goes, now's the hard part, getting them off.
Yeah. They don't
And
come
I'm
when you,
thinking,
not when you call them.
why didn't I think to ask about that?
Right.
Anyway, he used smoke to confuse them and a whisk broom, low tech.
Really?
Yeah. And he got him off. And when I was about 3 feet from my car, ready to go home, I got nailed.
Oh
And
no.
the duct tape had come off the bottom of my pant leg, and one got trapped, and boom.
Ooh.
But that was cool. I didn't end up in the hospital then. But about a year or 2 years later, I was doing a hike up in the desert, and I would, well, not the desert. I mean, California is a desert.
Yeah.
It was near my house. I did this long hike, and I would always go past boxes of bees. And I went past thinking, I have communed with the bees. I am one with the bees. And bam, I get nailed. And I thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
I pulled the stinger out and kept hiking. Oh my God, about 20 minutes later, I kept hiking up and up and up. And my scalp itched so much, I wanted to rip it off my head.
Wow.
And I looked down and my arms are beat red, and I go, oh shit, this ain't good. So
Throat
I was
swelling
able to
up.
get back to my car, and I called my dad, who was a doctor, and his advice, get to the hospital immediately. So
Yeah.
I went to the hospital and I ended up with a steroid drip for a couple hours, and now I carry an EpiPen. So that's my souvenir from trying to sell records by making a stupid video covered in bees.
Yeah. It's probably better than having like your scalp burned off in a Pepsi commercial, right?
Yeah.
So
Ouch.
I think, you know, plus think about the endless entertainment. Yeah, a conversation starter you've had to talk about bee stings, and the idea about this guy coming over to just coat you. I had never even thought about this, but watching the video, because you've got the conductor conducting during the whole presentation on the video, but then there's a shot of you just playing with all these bees all over you, right?
No,
You're not okay. It
no.
seems it seems
I
over cinematic.
intended to,
All right.
but came to my senses.
I was thinking, yeah,
Because
how are you gonna tap on top of the bees, right?
yeah, no. One of the things I did do, I had off repellent on my hair so they wouldn't get all stuck in my hair, and I had earplugs because they're really loud
Yeah.
and they create a lot of energy. And it was actually a cold day, and I was fine because I was covered with these bees creating energy. The things you don't think about when you're in
That's
guitar school.
that's true. Yeah. Did you go back to GIT and tell people, all right, so I already did this. You don't need to go there now. I've already like done that bucket list item, and yeah, what not to do in this business, right? So,
I have a lot of that advice.
I was gonna say, I'll bet you do. Is some of the symposium that kind of real world stuff? I mean, video editing for sure is something that people wouldn't think about, but as a performer, if you're gonna put your stuff out on the web, this is a skill that you need to know. Are there other kind of those real world business marketing kind of things that they can get from the symposium?
Yeah, actually, Angela Petrilli is getting into that more. She's big in social media marketing and has a degree in communications. So she's going to break it down, dealing with Instagram rules and how many ats you can have and hashtags and all that stuff that makes my hair smolder.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can definitely get that. And um, Gretchen is going to get into some basic theory for people that don't know anything about that.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people cannot take a year off or 4 years off to go to music school, but they love music anyway. So they just learn guitar however they can, whether it's YouTube videos or whatever. And
Right.
I mean, even Pat Metheny learned on his own and didn't know the names of anything.
Really?
Uh, yeah. I mean,
Huh.
I think he played with Gary Burton when he was 16 or 17 years old. And then did he go to Berkeley or University of Miami, one of those things? And that's when he learned the names of the modes that he already knew inherently by ear.
Wow. That I think for somebody that isn't a guitarist, watching the introductory video is a little overwhelming, But there's a bunch of stuff I noticed on the front page. I interrupted a little bit ago where I was playing a little bit of that video, but I see that you've got just a quick introduction. There's a minute long thing that they can go to guitarcloudsymposium.com where you can see Positive Grid presents Guitar Cloud Symposium. You talk a little bit about what expectations people can have and what they get for their money. You said it's $449 for the entire 4-day package.
Yeah, and you can also download a schedule and see exactly when and what each of us will be teaching over the weekend.
Okay. And that's coming up this Friday. So
Yep,
Friday to
Friday
Monday.
night.
I love it, man. I'm so excited for you. This is a really cool opportunity for somebody that just wants to learn from the greatest guitar players on the planet and have one-on-one communication, which is just incredibly rare. If you think about it, right, back in the day when you were doing Michael Jackson gigs and Jeff Beck tours, there were no $5,000 meet and greets, right? I mean, somebody could not go back and go through a cattle call for 5 grand and go take a picture with you and move on. This opportunity for, like barely $100 a day to get information and education and experience one-on-one where they can talk to you and get like real world experience, and then tools besides, and then win stuff, man. The Spark amp, and you've got all sorts of great products. I think it's cool. I'm really excited for you. This is December 11th through 14th, and then you've got another one coming up in January or February.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one too. We're adding Jude Gold, who is the Los Angeles editor of Guitar Player magazine, fantastic player, the guitar player in Jefferson Starship, and he also hosts, I think, the best by far guitar podcast out there called No Guitar Is Safe. That's sponsored by Guitar Player magazine. He does such a good job. I've done thousands of interviews, and I was actually nervous to do his because of the quality and the quality of players that he's talked to, like Robin Ford, Frank Gambale, you name it. Really great, humble guy. And he was in a band called Hot for Teacher. That was a Van Halen tribute.
Right on.
And so who better? Anyway, let me back up and say January 16th, we're doing a one-day deep dive. So we do these 4-day events every other month, and then the months in between we'll do a one-day deep dive on different themes. And the theme coming up in January is going to be guitar heroes. And so I'm going to do Jeff Beck because I got the inside scoop there. And Vicky Genfan is going to do Joni Mitchell. She grew up on that music and knows those open tunings and will be like a forensic scientist digging into what makes Joni Joni. And then Gretchen, of course, is going to, she's been touring doing Jimmy Page's parts in Zepparella for 10 years. And so, she's got it down. She's going to show you the bow techniques and all the iconic stuff from Jimmy. So I think that's going to be a popular one because that's something I would like to go to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's a good Christmas gift for people. If you're looking out there for something to buy your favorite guitarist on the planet, go to guitarcloudsymposium.com. Get this one, December 11th through 14th. Is there an opportunity for them to sign up for the January one if they can't attend this one?
The January one will go on sale Friday when this current one goes off sale.
Okay. All right. So make sure everybody check out this link right here, guitarcloudsymposium.com. You can bookmark it and try and get over there so that you can get the best of the best from the best. Michael Lejeune says this is way better than a meet and greet, which I agree. I can't believe you and I got to do arm farts on the air. This is awesome. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to pull another one out of there for us, but
no, I was just going to say Mother would be proud.
Yeah, she would. I'm awfully proud, man. I love you. I feel like you're my sister. You've been there for me from the beginning, Thank you.
Likewise, vice versa.
Keith Parker says, fantastic. Thanks for so much fun. If you guys are out there and you want to check out more, go to guitarcloudsymposium.com. You can see jenniferbatten.com and buy all of her old records and products. She's got all sorts of educational tools out there. She's got her string dampener and I think a few other goods. I don't know if you have any artwork there, but if you...
No, I've sold everything, and it's been so long since I've been able to do art. I don't have anything, and there's one piece I'm keeping that you were asking about how long it took to make them. This piece took over 5 years. I just kept coming off the road and going, oh, it could be this, it could be this. Now it's turned out to be 8 feet tall with a lamp on the top and all these little miniature steampunk worlds all inside of it. It's crazy. It would be such a pain in the ass to ship it. It's never going to be sold. And I would just want to jump into the chat where somebody was talking about Emily Remmeler.
Yeah.
I got to see her play years and years ago.
Really?
That was a left turn. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What like stylistically, how would you compare her stuff?
At the time, she was very similar to Pat Martino, serious
Okay.
bebop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw that chat go by and I just I got distracted by arm farts, you know. So
Who wouldn't?
I know. I think that that was wonderful. Make sure next time that you and I get a chance to hang out, you bring out your fart robot, your remote control fart robot. And man, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. I love you. You guys subscribe to this channel. Go to youtube.com/all access live with Kevin Rankin. And this weekend, I think you've seen, I mean, we talked about Darcy Bradley before, you and I did. I've got the Bradley twins coming on and we're going to do a little Christmas show. So
Oh,
we're gonna,
fantastic.
yeah, we're going to do, they'll do their little acoustic duo or a cappella duo thing. And we'll talk about their history and their connection with Mick Fleetwood and their whole Hawaii deal. So I'm looking forward to it. You guys keep an eye out too. I've got Zia Udine from Miles Kennedy's band, and then we're going to talk next week, as you and I know, about dialectical behavior therapy and musicians with depression. Something close to my heart. So we're going to get real, but we're going to save it for musicians right around Christmas. So subscribe to the channel. Go to accesskevin.com if you want to look at archives, and go to guitarcloudsymposium.com. Sign up for Jennifer Batten. I love you, sister. Have a beautiful,
Love you too.
beautiful day. Thank you so much for that. That was fun.
That was really fun. That was over the top.
Well, I'll talk to you later, hon.